March Madness Live to see every stream of every NCAA tournament game all the way to the Final Four there in New Orleans. You can watch every game wherever you are with the March Madness Live app. Make sure you download and subscribe. Download it today.
Joined by Paolo Banchero on CBS Sports HQ. You said in the postgame presser you had never played in a game like that before. Can you expound on that thought? What did you mean by that?
I mean, just the intensity of the environment, the level of competition. I mean, it was just all elevated, and it really, you don't really realize it till after, and it's just like, wow, I was really in that game in that moment, and it was amazing, man. Just being out there, it was fun, really, and just really blessed to be able to win that game.
Paolo, how do you explain how you and your teammates have really tapped into something so huge in these recent tournament games where you have clearly elevated your game and your team's game to another level? What are you guys doing to find that within yourselves?
I mean, we knew we were capable of this the whole time. So, after we lost the ACC championship, we didn't play nowhere near as good as we should have and could have. So, coming into the tournament, we wanted to elevate. I felt like we were playing, better early in the year, and we got away from it as conference play went on, got worn down. So just coming into this last stretch, we wanted to go all out and take every game one game at a time, and play to the best of our abilities, and then also just eliminate the outside noise and the pressure that comes with playing at Duke during Coach K's last season. We wanted to just stick together as a group.
You had a lot of big plays down the stretch. I want to ask you about the play where you penetrated inside and you found Mark on the dish for that humongous slam. Take me through that. And did that play feel like it might have been the definitive turning point where you felt like, you know what, we might have this one?
Yeah, no, I think we got 2 or 3 stops in a row right after that play. And yeah, I mean, I drove middle, and I was looking to get all the way, but as soon as I saw Mark's man pull over, I just dropped it off. That's the play we've been making for Mark all year, and he made a emphatic dunk, and it gave us all a huge boost, especially on the defense end.
Big time, right? And then Mike Krzyzewski said in the postgame press conference, he said you did things tonight that he had never seen you do before in a game. What do you think he was referring to? Can you bring us into to what you did personally and maybe what Coach K was trying to tell us there?
Just making high-level plays in the highest-level environment, I mean, obviously I've had a good year, but in this environment, this game, the game pressure, and then just the way, I feel like the way I did it, it wasn't a play, it wasn't a set, it was just me trusting my instincts and going. And either dumping it off, finishing, doing whatever was there, and yeah, man. I guess he hasn't seen it, but I mean, I knew I was capable of stuff like that, just trusting my instincts. But yeah, I mean, Coach trusts me, so it's a good thing.
And then last question: how does it feel to be part of a squad back-to-back games? When you beat Michigan State, that was win number 1,200 for Coach K. This win tonight puts him at 100 career NCAA tournament wins. To get those victories and to keep this rolling, one win closer to making a Final Four here.
Oh yeah, man. Those milestones that Coach is hitting is just a testament to his legacy, man. And you want to do that stuff for Coach. He deserves it. He deserves it. So when he gets 1,200 wins, when he gets 100 in the NCAA tournament, you feel happy that he gets that because no one else has. And then yeah, man, it's been our goal all year to get to the New Orleans, get to the championship. So we're one step closer. Got a good game on Saturday against a good team, and we'll be ready.
All right, Paolo, thanks for joining us. Go celebrate your teammates. We'll see you Saturday.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach K not done yet. Neither is Matt Norlander as he continues to cover the Coach K retirement tour. And what a run it has been. Your reaction to how that game played out, watching it in person there in San Francisco.
It might be the game of the tournament so far. Now, Arizona, TCU was incredible. San Francisco, Murray State was incredible. But the stakes here, Sweet 16 stage, and just the mere threat that any game could be Mike Krzyzewski's last, Akeem, I feel compelled to say that was as gripping a game. Now, Duke did find some separation in the closing minute and a half or so. You just heard Paolo Banchero explain how they've been able to really find resolve within themselves. I feel so lucky to be able to cover this tournament and this Duke team in particular because it's been something. I tell you what, after seeing how they faltered at home to close out the regular season against North Carolina, they were just okay in Brooklyn at the Barclays Center in the ACC tournament. It has been a different team in the NCAA tournament. Mike Krzyzewski and these players said before they played a game in the NCAA tournament that week's worth of practice had really changed them. That is coming true. Texas Tech is a legitimate team. That game lived up to the hype, if not exceeded it. Duke did the rare feat Hakeem. It was able to crack the 70-point barrier against Mark Adams' no-middle defense, and Paolo Banchero, Jeremy Roach, Wendell Moore Jr., Mark Williams, so many huge plays in the second half. Amazing stuff here in San Francisco on Thursday night.
Matt, what have you learned about this Duke team through 3 games in the NCAA tournament?
You know, I don't know what we're going to see on Saturday against Arkansas. That's going to be incredible. It's a rematch of the 1994 national championship game that Arkansas won. But to this point, through 3 games, what have I learned about Duke? You know what I've learned? I've learned that it actually has national championship resolve. I don't know if it's going to win the national championship. I don't know if it's going to get to the Final Four. But I am seeing enough clutch plays, big-time awareness. Paolo Banchero is an alpha, and he will go after that when he needs it. You saw that. I asked him about that dish to Mark Williams. That was a humongous play in the arena. It really did feel like the game turned with that specific play. Jeremy Roach is not afraid of the moment. This is the 2nd consecutive game in which Duke has been clinging to a narrow lead late, and Roach comes up huge with a 3-pointer to really boost the team's hopes overall. Wendell Moore Jr., very responsible player, and he's someone that as a junior they can trust, and then Mark Williams continues to make just enough plays here and there. Duke isn't an overly deep team. I get all that. There were times that, in fact, earlier in the game where Mike Krzyzewski had a lineup that I wouldn't have expected he would have played in this one. It kind of cost them a few points, but they rallied. They had great resolve. They have upped their defensive fortitude as well, in addition to having all that talent on the offensive end. A.J. Griffin was merely good, not great tonight, and it should be no surprise that Duke is at this stage considering how it's played with all these opponents. But I just want to reinforce this for our viewers on CBS Sports HQ. Duke was not this team a month ago. It has been a very good team for the majority of the season. It showed flashes earlier in the season, but this was not a team headed toward a convincing streak to an Elite Eight run 3 weeks or so ago. It has flipped a switch, and it looks as good as any team that's still playing in this NCAA tournament.
You're documenting Coach K's final run for CBSSports.com. How would you describe this moment as Coach K marches on to the Elite Eight?
Well, as we record this interview, I've yet to file my overnight column here from the City by the Bay, but so I don't have the line queued up in my brain, if you will, Hakeem. But I would say the win here against Texas Tech was defining of what Mike Krzyzewski has been about and what Duke has been about for 42 years under Mike Krzyzewski. Intense moments in huge games in this month of March. Yes, there have been times where Duke has fallen short, but there have been a lot of times where it has not. You know, Mike Krzyzewski's made 12 Final Fours. A win on Saturday will break his tie with John Wooden for the most ever and get him to 13. He has had teams come up so big against viable opponents on the big stage, in a Sweet 16, in an Elite Eight, even beyond that. So I think that what this team is doing right now, and I really think, like, Krzyzewski's kind of getting to this in his post-game press conferences, having heard him speak about this group basically at every press availability since before the North Carolina game. I think on a certain level, this Duke team is showing him things that is even surprising him. Remember, Duke had its worst season in forever last year, worse since the mid-'90s when Duke didn't make the NCAA tournament. There was no guarantee that this group was going to be a group that would make the Elite Eight, that would win the ACC regular season and do so as a Duke program for the first time since 2006 in standalone fashion. Krzyzewski himself said, man, Paolo Banchero, he did stuff tonight that he had never done in his life. They are finding new ways to surprise the 75-year-old, and with that, they are continuing to gel, and the trust factor on this team continues to grow. Krzyzewski said in his post-game press conference that he went to that zone. They had done some practice with it, and it was a wonderful gamut by Coach K. I actually thought it was a great nod to really how creative and nimble he can be as a coach. I don't think he gets enough credit for that, but he said the players went back to the staff late in the second half and said, you know what, that work, coach, we want to go back to man-to-man. We got these guys. We can handle this. Guess what? Paolo Banchero, Jeremy Roach, Wendell Moore Jr., A.J. Griffin, Mark Williams, they were all right. They had it done. It was a close and narrow win. Texas Tech did hit that 3 late, but they sensed blood in the water. They took advantage. And so now we will get Duke versus Arkansas. Arkansas, by the way, we aren't going to get a Duke-Gonzaga rematch. That was one of the best games of the regular season. Arkansas knocks off the #1 overall seed. Rough tournament so far for the top teams on the top lines. Hakeem, only Kansas, as we speak here, is the remaining 1 seed. But Arkansas versus Duke is a classic throwback to the 1990s, and Eric Musselman has his team in the Elite Eight for a second straight season. I think it's a pretty fitting and pretty awesome regional final we'll have Saturday here in San Francisco.
Yeah, meeting for the first time since that '94 national championship game, a game that Nolan Richardson won over Mike Krzyzewski. Now it's Eric Musselman looking to beat Coach K to get into the Final Four. How are you evaluating this matchup this time around?
Well, going in, it's going to be fascinating because you got to figure Jalen Williams probably matches up on Mark Williams because those are two traditional bigs. Paolo Banchero continues to be a mismatch. Now, to be fair to Arkansas, there was no proper matchup for anyone on Arkansas's roster against Chet Holmgren. They just got him into foul trouble. Paolo Banchero is a different kind of big, though. Can they try to take it at Banchero and try and get him to similar foul trouble the way they did Holmgren? Sure, but I'm just telling you, Banchero has done himself something special in this tournament. He has taken his game to an entirely different level. He has reintroduced himself into the conversation to be the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft, which frankly he had been nudged out of over the past 2.5 months by the likes of Auburn's Jabari Smith and Gonzaga's Chet Holmgren. He's back in that mix now, so I'm interested to see how Arkansas will handle Banchero specifically, and then will we continue to get this version of Jeremy Roach? Jeremy Roach has been a good player throughout the season. He has found another level. It's no coincidence here that Duke is still alive in this tournament, and it's not just because Banchero has been an awesome one-and-done player. It's because Wendell Moore Jr. is steady. It's because Roach is hitting big shots and he's unafraid. I'm just telling you, I was sitting there on the court. I could see it in his eyes. Jeremy Roach is not afraid of this moment whatsoever. He wanted the ball. He commanded it. He took the shots. He knew, and they're taking good shots there. So Arkansas will want to run. I think Duke would oblige them. I think there's a decent chance that this game can be in the high 70s and the 80s before it's decided. Arkansas will have its hands full, but it's obviously no gimme, no automatic. I actually think it's a good thing for Duke that it can go and look at that tape at the Gonzaga game, and Krzyzewski can say, hey guys, we're not getting any layoff here. Texas Tech was one kind of beast, the #1 defense in the country. We can see what Arkansas is capable of. It's beaten really, really good teams all season long here, certainly capable of knocking off Duke in the spot. I would give Duke a slight edge because Banchero seems like a huge X factor, but I can't wait for the J.D. Notae Jeremy Roach head-to-head battle. I think that'll be a fantastic backcourt matchup, and it should be a pretty big one, a pretty good one on Saturday here in San Francisco.
Matt Norlander rising up in the moment. He is locked in there in San Francisco.
March Madness Live to see every stream of every NCAA tournament game all the way to the Final Four there in New Orleans. You can watch every game wherever you are with the March Madness Live app. Make sure you download and subscribe. Download it today.